Hey, I read some books in March. Let's see what I read. Welcome to the middle of nowhere. So, I know this is my first monthly wrap up, but I read a lot of books, and to go through all of them for the past 3 months would be too many, so I just decided to do just the 1 month, and which will be the month of March. And I'll give some brief synopsis, brief thoughts about all of the books, but I did read quite a bit. And so I don't want to make this overly long. Plus, you don't know who I am quite yet. So figure it'll give you another look at my tastes and what I've been reading recently. With that being said, I also invite you to follow me on Goodreads or connect with me, and you're able to track along right as I read them and see my thoughts as I go along. And you're also able to read a more in-depth review on most of the books that I read throughout the year and previous year as well. But let's get started. I'll start with my digital reads and then go through some of the physical reads that I also accomplished. So I started off the month with Bloodlines by Peter Hartog. This was a lot of fun. It's a urban fantasy mystery style. Has a lot of different elements into it, vampires and magic in a way, and it was a lot of fun. I will definitely continue on to book 2. I'm not sure when. It wasn't the highest. I believe I gave it 4 stars. I can't remember off the top of my head. But once again, it was a lot of fun. It was a good break from traditional fantasy or a traditional thriller, and really cool to see the mix up of them. And it had a lot of interesting elements and surprises in there. Next, I was supremely fortunate to get an arc of Lord and King by P.L. Stewart. I forgot to look up the date when it's being released. I will definitely put a note when it is, but I believe it's coming out in May. This is book 3 in his A Drowned Kingdom saga that focuses on Atlantis and the survivors of that realm. And it's his take on it. It is phenomenal. It reads like a historical fiction almost. You would believe that it's just a history book written from the point of view of Othran. It is absolutely stellar, and P.L. Stewart has a way of recapping his books without making it a recap. It's incredible. He is an incredible writer. He has a way of writing that I still think of books 1 and 2 and now 3 even to this day, like of what could be going on, what's happening, the magic system, the characters. It's so well done. I definitely gave that one 5 stars and highly encourage everyone to take a look at that series. Next was Seasons of Alvedon, which is a really short book, so I read it in a day. But it's 4 short stories all mashed together, each with their own season. I know it does have some moments where they're jaw-dropping. It didn't have the emotional impact to me as it will with a lot of other readers. I know that a lot of people say that it carries a lot of emotional damage, and I can see why. Unfortunately, I don't connect a lot of emotion to my reads. I do it more for entertainment purposes. And so when I do get an emotional feeling, I definitely mention it. There were some good things. I really enjoyed it, and overall gave it 4 stars. Next, I started my first foray into progression fantasy, reading the War Priest series, books 1 and 2, which are Mask of the Fallen and Whispering Sword. I did these in audio, and they're narrated by Travis Baldree, which was phenomenal. And they did get a little bit repetitive to me, especially between the two. A lot of the same style humor and things, but there was a lot of fun. A lot of cool Japanese lore mixed into it, especially as they go through the fighting and things and go on their quests. So a lot of fun. Read them as kind of in between novels, kind of give my mind a break, but definitely don't regret it. But that wraps up all of my digital reads that I read for the month of March. Now we'll get into my stack of books, which I have next to me, and go through those. So this isn't the exact copy of the book I read, but this one is The Lost War by Justin Lee Anderson. So I was fortunate enough to get through NetGalley the arc of his traditionally release of this same novel. I don't know what the differences are. I never got a chance to read this version. I saw that one come on, was already planning on reading it, so figured I might as well just jump in with that one instead of reading the same story twice. So then I can just move on to book 2. Love this cover. It was a great read, lots of action, love the magic. You can once again read my review on Goodreads. I did give it 4 stars. Next, I read a few thrillers. So I read book 2 of the Robert Hunter series, which is The Executioner. Once again, this is a phenomenal series. This one focuses on a serial killer that focuses on the fears of people and kills them using their fear. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's really, really good. Robert Hunter has to track down who it could be and why they are doing this, and superbly done. Especially if you enjoy serial killer detective mysteries, I highly encourage you to give this one a shot. And you'll get a view into the killers that's never really been done before, and that's what really makes this series really unique. I also read a couple thrillers by Harlan Coben. This is book 2 in his Myron Bolitar series, Drop Shot, and also Fade Away. This focuses on sports, which I am a big sports person as well, especially basketball, and he was a basketball player for the Celtics, but never got to make a game, and so then he becomes a sports agent, but also has an FBI background, and so he usually is solving some sort of mystery that involves players that he's associated with or something from his past. But main reason I really love this series, besides the fact that it has the Celtics in it, which I am a huge Celtics fan, is his sidekick, Win. He is the best morally gray character I could read. He's very black and white. If something is wrong to him, you get punished. That's if you break the rule that as he sees it, you get punished. And if you don't, then you're fine. And he doesn't have very many friends. And I just really enjoy that character. It's a lot of fun, pretty light reads. They go really quick, but definitely really enjoyed those. Next, I continued a buddy read that I'm doing with Lana and Marilyn and Nikki, which we've been doing on the Indie Accords. We're reading one book of Philip C. Quantrill's books, one per month, and so we're definitely continuing with that. So in March it was Relic of the Gods, which it felt like it tied up like his original trilogy plan, so I'm really curious to see where he goes from there. Really, really great though. Asher is fantastic. Love reading about him. The dragons, the magic, the elves, all top notch. I am sad that we didn't get to see more of the mermaids, because it was the most interesting take I've seen on mermaids in a while. But that's okay. But has assassins, has elves, dark elves, and dragons. Next, I was provided a copy of this book by the author, which I'm very thankful to J.D. Mitchell for. And that is Springtide Harvest. So this is a Dungeons and Dragons focused book. It felt like it was transcribed from something that he wrote for that game, but really, really well written. It was really well done. Not as deep as I typically like my novels, so it made for a really great filler book. My issue with it was that I didn't connect with any of the characters. He wrote them very realistic, and there's not an issue with that. I know there will be people that will really connect with those characters, and he did an excellent job in what he intended for them. It just didn't click with me, so I gave this one 3 stars. Next, I received another arc from an author, my good friend Jeffrey Spite. This came out in the month of April. Highly encourage everybody to give this series a shot. Archives of Evilium. Hopefully I said that right. but it's a fantastic series. Once again, it's Dungeons and Dragons inspired. And so book one has a lot more of that quest feel, like running helter-skelter, going from one quest to the next, which didn't really connect with me extremely well with just that part. I loved the characters in the novel, though. I connected with every single one of them and loved the group that you follow. But book two is a huge step up. It's phenomenal. The cover is amazing. Lots of intrigue in this one, as well as superb action. And every quest, it's only 2 quests really through this one that span the entire novel. And so it was a breath of fresh air for me, and it was a lot of fun to read. Now I'm not giving ratings on every single one of these books, mainly because I can't remember all of them. But that's okay. If you have a specific question on what I really rated a book, feel free to ask. Another book that I read, I am not a huge dragon person. I feel like they're overly used, and they all kind of read the same to me. But I know I love fantasy, so I know I'm going to read a lot of dragons. It's just one of those favorite fantasy creatures that everybody wants to use, especially as companions. But I'd heard about this book. Everybody said it was phenomenal, even though it's written more for the young adults. But that is Ascendant by Michael R. Miller. And I was blown away with the changes that he made and the way that he uses his dragons. First of all, it is a blind dragon, which is unique and different, and already changed the way that the dragons would be written. There's also a whole bunch more with the characters and their goals, and it's just extremely well written. I really enjoyed my time with it. I'm definitely moving on to book 2, and super excited to see where he goes with that series. I'm also going to check out his other works because I really, really loved this novel. To wrap it up was my monthly buddy read with my group of friends. Once again, Aunt, Eddie, Grant, and Chad, as well as Maggie. And we read a big boy. That being said, this is The First Binding by R.R. Beardy. It is phenomenal. It uses that same style of storytelling as The Name of the Wind, and there are similarities, but it does use that Middle East stories, the Silk Road and all of that to kind of tell it. I connected way more with the characters in this novel than I did with the previously mentioned. I couldn't get enough of it. Even though it is big, it reads really smooth and very quickly. And I am interested on where to go. I was annoyed because it just kind of ended, and I need to know exactly what happened because there's so much going on in the present time, in the past time, in his little stories. There's a lot of stuff going on. I cared about more than one character. I wanted to know what was happening with all of them, why they were there, what they were doing, and it was very, very, very good. I highly recommend everybody to give it a shot. It might not be for you, and that's okay, but at least give it a shot and find out what a gifted storyteller R.R. Beardy is. But that wraps up my reads for the month of March. Hopefully you found some that you want to check out, that you've read before. If you have, let me know. Let me know your thoughts on them. I know it could be controversial, and that's okay. That's what's so great about this book community, is that we all don't think the same, and that we are all different. But anyway, thanks for watching. As always, happy reading and stay great.